Broadcasting. Touchdowns. Shut your mouth. Broadcasting. First round draft pick. Believe we got stats, kid. Quarterback stacking. 100-yard dashing. So tap in for the action. What teams got traction?
Welcome to the Sim Podcast Show. I'm your co-host, Sarek, and I'm always joined by my co-host, Ron. What up, Ron?
What's going on?
Ron, we just had week 10. How do you feel about the season so far?
It's been a good season. It's been a great season for the Steelers, not so much the Pats.
Well, what are you, 6-3 now?
6-3.
That's a good record.
Yeah, I can't complain. I mean, there are things to complain about, and I have complained all season. But the fact that we're 6-3, and that we just need to put things in perspective, it could be a lot worse.
It could be a lot worse. A lot worse.
Right.
And I think you're, second in the division?
That's right. Baltimore still one game ahead.
Yeah, so you're good. You're good. So in today's episode, we're going to have the NFL news. We're going to have our Week 10 recap. We're going to have our power rankings, our upset special, and then we're going to end it like last week, but this week we're going to talk about the coaches. Which coach do we think is up? Which coaches do we think is down? But let's just go without further ado. Let's do the news. Ron Watson gonna have season-ending surgery. What else is there to say? What year is this? Like 3 years in his contract?
Cleveland never rocked. That's what there is to say. They have some bad luck in Cleveland. They gave him all that money, and he played, I think, about 16 games or so in past 3 years or whatever.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's. I'm starting to feel sorry for that franchise. Everything that could go wrong this season is starting to go wrong.
Has gone wrong.
Yeah, not just about losing Watson, but you lost, your running back beginning of the year.
Yeah, you lost Nick Chubb, even though they have a pretty stable, damn good defense, though.
Yeah, and the defense is still great. So, but it's you can't win though, right? At least in the playoffs without having something on both sides of the ball. So
yeah, at least a good QB, and we were talking about earlier today that Gronk put his 2 cents in. He was like, Cleveland should go and pick up Mac Jones, and I was just like, yes, in fantasy world that would be perfect. However, how is New England just gonna let Mac Jones walk out the door without getting some kind of compensatory pick, right? It's like, come on.
Trade deadlines passed too, man.
Come on. This is just hearsay. This is just hearsay. I wish I was there to interview when he said that. I'd be like, Gronk, you're smart enough to know that deadline pass. Bill is not going to just, out of his kindness of his heart, just release Mac Jones. This is just play. But, Watson's out. I think he's owed $65 million next year. I know that number was against the cap.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, time's running out and he's still getting paid.
Yeah, so this injury though ends his season, doesn't end his career. He'll be ready for next year. But they got to be looking at this we've invested a lot of money, obviously, but I think they lost 2 first-round picks, second-round picks as well. That's a big investment, and it has not paid off so far. Now, if they go out next year when he's healthy and win a Super Bowl, then maybe it's all worth it, when you're looking back, after 4 years or 5 years or whatever. But at this point, you gotta, you have to think that they came out on the bad end of this whole deal.
Yeah, Browns are going to do Brown things, right? They just, would you fire the GM though? I know that he struck out with this whole Watson deal, but he's put together a pretty decent team.
Yeah. I would not fire the GM, and I would imagine the owner had a lot to do with bringing Watson in, right? Not just the GM. I'm sure it's the owner said, hey, we need to get a quarterback in here that's the franchise, the future. So we don't have to keep worrying about this every year. It's not easy to find a franchise quarterback.
No, it's not.
And I think they were hoping to have Watson for like the next 10, 12 years, whatever. So they can kind of put that beat, behind them. So I don't blame them for trying to make a splash play. It just hasn't worked out. And I think, to your point, all the other moves he's done has been good. So I wouldn't blame him for that.
The other set of news, Ron, Ken Dorsey is out of Buffalo. Now, I was watching this game Monday night, and you had mentioned that, the Bills might lose this game. And I was like, are they really going to lose at home? So I was watching this game. For some reason, Denver decided to kill the clock at the end and rush the field goal unit on the field. Why was Buffalo they'd never seen
Caught
that play?
off guard. Yeah.
They'd never seen that play for I think the commentators called it 2 minutes into the game. I think the Denver's trying to kill the clock. They get a 12-man penalty after the missed kick. They re-kick it, they win the game. Should Dorsey have been kicked out?
Not mid-season, I don't think. So maybe at the end of the season, you can take a look back to see what changes need to be made at that point, but not mid-season. It's funny because I text you immediately, text the group chat that we're in about how in season, making those decisions can happen. It does happen. We got Canada though, who's failed for 3 years, and we haven't moved on yet. So I think I think the Bills, they're using him as a scapegoat, and I think they're trying to send a message to the city that, hey, we're still in it. We're looking to make changes, and we're not giving up on the season. So we're going to make this move to try to right the ship. Whether or not it works, I don't think. I think if you were to look at the season and all, the reason they're failing, Dorsey's probably part of it. But Josh Allen leads the league, I think, in turnovers, right?
Yeah, so, he leads the league in interceptions.
Yeah, your quarterback can't. He has to play better at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's a disaster. I think Ken Dorsey definitely took the brunt of it. That the Bills are so terrible this year, but I put the blame on McDermott. I mean,
injuries too, right? On defense, they lost Milano
too, and also losing the coordinators the way that they did, especially Leslie Frazier, which we still don't know why he just got up and left. Was he fired? Did he retire? We don't know. It's a mystery. And I think our friend Steve at the beginning of the season was like, I don't know about this Buffalo team. And I was like, he's just talking nonsense. But there is something to be said about the fact that they're not as good as they were.
Listen, they replaced a lot of players on defense. They saw a lot of attrition on that side of the ball. And then coaching staff, right? There were going to be some questions about how far could they go? Would they commit to running the ball and not put all that pressure on Josh Allen? Well, they haven't done any of that. So I'm not overly surprised that they're just 5-5, but a lot of teams would be happy with 5-5 right now. So
I would be happy with 5-5.
They're not completely out of the playoff hunt at this point. So the city might feel disappointed. Probably expected that team to have a better record, and to be playing better, more importantly. But at the end of the day, it's still a long way to go. There's no reason to give up hope, Buffalo.
That's why I don't think they're definitely not out, but it reeks of desperation. It reeks of just fire Dorsey and we'll bounce back. I don't know what their schedule is gonna be going forward. I know they play Miami, they play the Jets.
They got a tough schedule if I remember right. I think they got Kansas City at some point too. Yeah, they got the Jets, Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys, Chargers. Then followed by the Patriots and Dolphins. So that's
it's not a layup. It's definitely not a layup. The other set of news is Frank Wright is taking over as offense coordinator. I just thought when I saw that news, I was like, why? it's not like you're a Super Bowl contender. So why all of a sudden are you taking over the offensive coordinator role? Is it because development issues? Like, does he not like where Bryce Young is going?
Remember, though, he was calling the plays at the beginning of the season, and then he turned it over to the coordinator for like the last 3 weeks, I think it was. And now he's taking it back. Now, why is he taking it back after these last 3 weeks? I don't know. But, you know, at this time of the year, you're mid-season, right? Everyone's on the hot seat at this point. You're the make or break, you know, time of the schedule. So coaches are probably feeling like a little bit of pressure to turn things around. And that's probably where he's at. And that's why he's making this. I don't know. I can't tell you exactly why, but it doesn't surprise me that teams at this point, they need to make that playoff push. Their jobs are on the line, not just their jobs, but other coaches, coordinators behind them. They got to make some drastic, tough decisions.
And then I also saw a set of news where people were like protesting in Charlotte for their team, and I was just like, really? This is what you want to put your energy to? Like showing up at the empty stadium and just protesting that team needs to be better? My God, your team is like 1 win, 2 wins. I don't know how many
wins.
1 win,
1-8.
Yeah, so it's like,
what were they last year?
But the thing is, like,
I mean, they weren't great last year, so I don't know.
They gave up a lot of picks to Chicago to get Bryce Young. So it's like, you're not going to be good in 1 year. It's going to take a couple of years to be good. So why are you protesting year one?
I think people probably felt they missed because they passed on
CJ Stroud,
right? So I don't know. But I don't know what their expectations were. This is, you know, when I was looking at them at the beginning of the season, we didn't have a playoff team or anything. So, yeah, it's probably disappointing that you've only won one game at this point. But, you know, I don't know what's going on in that city.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the team only winning one game, and then your number one draft status is going to Chicago. So, yes, I understand why you're mad, but protesting is not going to fix things. Sorry, Charlotte, just not. Ron, let's go into week 10 real quick, because the first game was Indy at New England, but it was in Germany game. I had them as 21-20. You had them, and by them I mean the Pats, 2017. It was a 6-10 final. Ron, I mean, this is week 10, right? The team is 2-8. What can you say about that I haven't already said about not only Mac Jones, but the receivers? I mean, I don't know. I looked at the game, and full disclosure, I watched this game on replay the next day after work, but it didn't help because you try to fast forward to the commercials, and then you try to fast forward through the plays to like when Indy had the ball, and it was just like, why couldn't they just score more than 10 points? This offense is terrible. It's terrible. There was a you know, I don't know if it was the first series or the second series where they just ran the ball like 6 plays in a row because they were so afraid to like Matt Jones throw it that they were like, no, we're going to run the ball no matter what. And it was pretty good. I mean, I think 167 yards total running the bank. So it's like, but then when it was like 3rd and long, they had no choice. They were like, we're going to have to let Mac Jones throw the ball. And what happened? It was either a sack or a crazy no look. I mean, that first interception, I think he only threw one. It was a terrible interception.
Mac Jones takes the blame for a lot of their issues. And I'm not going to say he's blameless, right? He's part of it, right? That team stinks. You just said it. That was the first thing you said. The team stinks, right? The line is horrendous. He's got sacked 5 times, but I swear he got hit like 15 times when I was watching that game, which is inexcusable. You can't play quarterback in this league and get hit that many times and expect to be good. And I'm not making any excuses for him in that interception, right? He has to be better. but the players around him are trash. The receivers on that team are trash. Demario Douglas should not be your leading receiver. And I understand there's been some injuries and stuff. You didn't get anything from the Juju. You're not getting crap from him whatsoever. And I don't know if he got hurt in this game or what. Your tight ends aren't giving you anything. Your run game's been the only thing that you can look at and say has been a positive. So, it's
been a positive, but you can only do so much.
Right.
So much running. You have to score the ball.
Yeah, you got to score at the end of the day. So, yes. But at the end of the day, right, it's not just on Mac Jones. I know the city has turned against him. The team has turned. At this point, they've benched him, right? So,
I'm glad that they're gonna have a bye week because they have to figure out
what does this do. Like, what? I understand losing the locker room. I get that, right? Mac's been frustrated. He's getting sacked and killed, and he's probably cursing them out in the back. When the lights and cameras are not on, say, hey, I can't play like this. I would be, right? You got to expect more and want more, from your teammates. But what is going to Zappy or whoever the other guy is? What is that going to do?
That's what I mean. It's like we're at the point, especially with it, we know that they're not going to make the playoffs, no matter what happens for the next 7 games. But it's like, Mac Jones takes the blame. Bill Belichick takes the blame. Bill O'Brien takes the blame. Player personnel, which falls on the Bill Belichick, takes the blame. So it's like, do you want to clean house? I'm talking about
at the end of the season.
I'm talking about just get rid of Bill Belichick. Get rid of all the assistants. Don't even promote anybody from within because they're gonna have that Bill Belichick style in them. Do you do that if you're Robert Kraft, or do you take door B, which is bring Bill Belichick back? Because they're not gonna give Robert Kraft is. I thought at the beginning of the year that he was not going to get rid of him until he break the record. But he's getting so much pressure from journalists, from fans, from even before the game, he was at Germany and he was, I think Rich Eisen was interviewing him and they were like softball questions. They were like, hey, are you happy to be here? But when he went back to the owners section, whatever that, he was bombarded with what are we doing? Real fans in Germany were like, what are we doing? What is his team main goal is? It's like a blank. We don't know.
So here's the thing, because it can go either way. There are owners that, like Jerry Jones, he's not going to put up with that, right? He's going to make a change mid-season to get rid of you if you're not performing, because his expectations are way unrealistically high, right? And he caves in. He wants to be in front of the national audience and national media. He thrives on that, and he wants everyone to love the Cowboys. But there's owners who aren't like that. I think like Steelers owner. How many people have look at the whole Matt Canada, Fire Matt Canada thing. That is has gone viral to every college, every college game day, and they have not made a move whatsoever. The owner has not forced Tomlin's hand. He hasn't made a move himself to say get rid of Matt Canada. So I don't know. I don't think Kraft is going to make a move from Belichick at the end of the year. I would, right? You asked me, what would I do? Yes, I would clean house. I would go that route. But I think Kraft is going to say, no, we're going to be patient. We're not going to cave into the media. We'll bring him back. We want to break that record. We'll give him another chance to do so. We owe him that. We owe Bill that.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's you have Robert Kraft, who he doesn't listen to his wife because his wife passed away. He basically living the bachelor life. He listened to his son, obviously, but the less people that in his ears, I feel like you said, I'm leaning towards the fact that he is coming back for 2024. I'm leaning to the fact that he might, depending on the draft order, he might keep Mac Jones because he's so damn cheap. It's yes, Mac Jones, you'll come back and compete for this role, but I just don't see him making any major
this
change.
is what we had talked about before, right? If you're going to keep Belichick, what should you do? You need to take some of the power away from Bill, because the GM, Bill, has failed, and you need to own up to that failure. He needs to own up to that. So at the very least, Kraft should take that away from Bill and say, you'll continue to coach, be the head coach, but we're getting somebody in that knows what they're doing from a GM standpoint, so we can draft the right players. Quarterback is one of them, but everything around him, offensive line, receivers, we got to be able to put a team together, and Bill hasn't been able to do that. So
see, and that's what I mean. It's like there's no in between with Robert Kraft. You either all in with Bill, and that includes the GM. Because I mean, if you look at the organization closely, and you look at the assistant coaches, from top to bottom, Bill handpicked every one of them. So to him to be like, you know what, you can still be coach, but not GM. He knows that whoever he assigns as GM is going to be like, why is this guy, he has a coach there that used to be a lacrosse team coach, but he's in the Patriots. Why? No one knows. What is he doing there?
But you can bring a GM in to say, hey, here's the deal. We want you to take over GM responsibilities, still Bill's team to run. But Bill's gone in a year or two. You could be frank with the GM to say, Bill's 70, however old, he's looking to break the record and probably move on. And we as an organization are looking to do the same thing. So once he's gone, you need to prepare us by finding a coach to take over, finding coordinators to go along with it and all that stuff. It ain't going to be next year, right? But I think a GM will be willing to do that. Sure.
I mean, I want to say
I don't think Bill's going to be willing to do that.
Yeah, I don't think Bill's going to want to do that. And, once you take power away from Bill, he's like, why am I doing it here for? Even though, and we'll talk about it when we do the coaching, is there another team that's willing to give the keys to Bill?
Hey, if there's another, I'm sure Kraft will be like, okay.
And
you can hit the reset button sooner.
That remains to be seen. The next game, Ron, Green Bay at Pittsburgh. You had them losing 26-23. I had them winning 17-10. Final score 23-19. Steelers win. Ron, this is like the second week in a row that you've gone against Pittsburgh. What is going on?
Yeah, and second week in a row that we avoided a loss, right? So Green Bay had a chance at the end, just like the previous week, to win the game. Time running out, throws an interception in the end zone, loses the game. So the Steelers did everything to lose the game. They didn't win it. They just did enough defensively and did enough offensively, especially in the first half or whatever, to win. They held on for dear life, and that was the game. But this 2 weeks in a row, we're like, don't do anything to lose. Basically, don't make any mistakes. Let's rely on our defense, and defense almost failed at the end, but thankfully a last minute interception sealed the win for us. So game could have went either way, is what I'm saying. Just like week 9, it could have went either way with Tennessee winning that game. So these teams aren't that far apart.
Ron, I picked Pittsburgh to win this game because Green Bay had let me down. Jordan Love had let me down. And I saw a replay of this game this morning. And why was Jordan Love? Why did you give up 300 yards to Jordan Love?
Our secondary is slow. And this is what, didn't I tell you this beginning of the game? We can lose this game. Our secondary is old and banged up. Mika's not playing, right? But we're old and slow. And they have sufficient weapons at the receiver position, a decent running game, and a quarterback that can deliver the ball. He's not an A-list quarterback, but he's good enough to throw the ball downfield. So any
but
team that
you
has
guys
that,
had 2 interceptions, so the turnovers were there. You should have capitalized on.
one was a last end of the game interception, so I'm not even counting that, right? And I don't even recall the other one, to be quite honest with you. But Green Bay had every chance and every opportunity to win that game. If you would ask me who the better team, I couldn't tell you. They both looked the same to me. Jordan Love, I thought, played okay. Our defensive backs are just, with Patrick Peterson, I know he made the play at the end, tipping the ball up to cause the interception. But we're going to have to address the cornerback position in our draft next season, because we have, our guys they're physical, but not very athletic. And we keep getting toasted by these receivers, giving up ridiculous amount of yards in the passing. So,
yeah, I didn't think that they were going to score that many points, 23-19. Yeah. But the fact that, watching that first half, I was like, wow, Pittsburgh scored 2 touchdowns. Here we go. It might be a blowout. No, it was not a blowout.
Kenny Pickett, once again, did not look good, right? So if you watch the game, you see that. Well, it was a conservative game plan. They didn't want him throwing the ball downfield and stuff like that. I think there was a couple times there were some opportunities, just didn't take them. But this was all about running the ball. We ran for 200 yards, 205. And Kenny was, 14-23 for 126. He just wasn't aggressive. It wasn't an aggressive play calling, and then he got away with some throws that should have been intercepted. So
yeah, I saw a pick that the other guy for Green Bay didn't have both feet down.
Yeah, and then another one, I don't know how he got it in to DJ, and DJ made the catch, but it was a dangerous throw. So the book's still out on Kenny Pickett. Is he the guy to lead the Steelers?
Ron, who was your upset special for Week 10?
So another game that went down to the wire, and I feel like I still had this game right. I picked Washington to beat Seattle 24-21. Seattle was favored by 6.5 at the time we made our picks. Seattle ended up winning 29-26. But Washington played well for the most part. If you're not a Sam Howell believer yet, you need to go really watch the kid play. The dude can ball. No fear whatsoever. He can throw. They blew that game. They should have won. And we talked about how critical it was for them to win that game, because they're sitting now at, what's their record? 4-6. So they were 4-5. They could have been 5-5, fighting for that last wild card spot. So it was a critical game for them to go out and show what they're made of, and they just fell a little bit short, unfortunately.
So should we be concerned about Seattle?
No, because Washington's a good team.
The only thing I don't like about this team is, like, let's say that they keep Sam Howell, right? Mm-hmm. And Ron Rivera goes. Mm-hmm. Is Eric Bieniemy gonna go? Or is he
absolutely
stay?
Not. He'll stay. He'll probably be the head coach.
Oh, so you think he'll get promoted?
Absolutely. You know who the owner is? Isn't Magic Johnson one of the owners?
Well, he's a minority owner, but the main owner, I guess, he owns the Sixers as well. Mm. So
and the problem with Washington has not been their offense. Look, he's developing Sam Howell, so it's not Eric Bieniemy, right? Sam Howell has been fantastic, right? So, I don't think Bieniemy's going anywhere. I just think Rivera is going to be the one to be on the outs.
Well, my upset special, Cleveland at Baltimore. And this was really a crapshoot, because I was just like, who should I pick that meets the threshold for the upset special? Mm-hmm. I went with this team, with the Cleveland Browns, and then when I look at the score, they were losing 17-3, and I was like, oh, yeah, there goes the upset special. But not so fast. How in the hell did Baltimore let Cleveland back in? Because I saw that Watson threw an interception and he was just lousy, and I was like, wow, they're really just gonna give up and let Baltimore beat them.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch this game. I saw some of the highlights and stuff, and I was just like, okay. the Ravens are doing their thing. They got this game easily. They got it wrapped up. And then they, slowly Cleveland just came back and took control. Bro, I did see Lamar didn't play well. I think he was 2 interceptions he threw. He also missed a deep pass to Brown. Not Brown. What's their rookie receiver?
Flowers.
Thank you. That would have been a long touchdown. So Lamar probably had his worst game of the season, I'd say. So, but you can't.
I mean, it's just gonna hurt his MVP candidacy.
I think the MVP, first of all, is way up in the air right now. I don't think there's anybody running away with it, so I don't think it's going to really hurt him at the end of the year. There's no quarterbacks playing out of this world, right? It wouldn't shock me if it goes to like Tyreek Hill or someone like that instead. So, but Lamar's still in the conversation. His team's still winning. They're still in first place in the division.
There's no way that's going to Tariq. Do you remember the last non-quarterback to get the MVP was Peterson, that running back for Minnesota, and that was like 15 years ago.
And what did he do though? Why did he get it?
Yeah, because he
rushed for 2,000.
He had the rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
He had the rushing yards.
And why do you think that's why Tyreek's going to get it?
He had the Minnesota in the playoffs. I mean, there was a lot of things, and I think that year Brady was hurt. He didn't even play. So 2007, yes, all the stars aligned for that guy. I don't think it's the same with Tyreek Hill. I think
stars are aligned. He got 1,000 yards on his way to 2,000 yards receiving.
Well, we know they play different at home than they do away.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Peterson did it at home and away. I want to see the Miami do it both sides, and it should be easier now because we know Buffalo is not as good as it used to be.
Tyreek, I mean, I'm looking at these stats. He's putting up like 8 receptions almost every week. The first game was away at the Chargers. He went for 11 for 215. So
it's against the Chargers. Come on now, that's like a defense. That's like the Olay defense. That's the good old like, hey, you gonna score 30 points? I'm gonna score 30 points. So shits and giggles. This is not gonna be happening at the playoff. At least I don't think it is. I think at the playoffs he gets double teamed, but we know the MVP is regular season.
I think Lamar's. I think it's wide open at this point.
Let's go into our power rankings. Ron, who do you have as your power rankings?
So let's see. I got for this week, Philly still at number 1, no change there. I got Detroit at number 2. They were number 3 last week. I got Baltimore at number 3, so they fell 1 spot from 2. I'm not panicking and dropping them out, out of the top 5. Kansas City moving up. Oh, they were at 4. They remain at 4, and then San Francisco at 5. The Bengals in their loss that fell out of the top 5 for me. So Philly, Detroit, Baltimore, Kansas City, San Francisco.
Yeah, basically got the same team except Jacksonville. Obviously, they're not ready to be in the dog. I thought they were, but that Trevor Lawrence performance was terrible. I can see now why that AFC South is such a terrible division. Just like the NFC South, anybody can go in there and just whip somebody's butt. But I do still like my adopted team, Houston Texans. And they got a W this week at the last second. So, hey, good for you, DeMarco Ryans. Good for you. I have Philadelphia, Kansas City, Detroit, San Francisco, and Baltimore. I mean, that last second loss, to me, they're still a top 5 team, even with the loss. So that's why I kept them in.
So I thought you jumped off the Brock Purdy train in San Francisco train.
Well, I jumped off the whole MVP talk because that was ludicrous.
That was ludicrous.
And now they're trying to bring CJ Stroud in, at least.
And that's ludicrous.
That's just ludicrous.
Will Levis was MVP after his first week throwing 4 touchdowns. And what has he done since, right? So let's all simmer down on these players.
Now, I will say this. Purdy actually has weapons. Can't say the same for CJ Stroud.
CJ Stroud has decent weapons. You keep saying, you said that last week too.
He doesn't have superstars, though. He doesn't have somebody like
you.
Debo.
May not know them.
Who does he have?
Nico Collins. Look at his stat. He's a good receiver.
Was he a good before CJ Stroud?
Dell is.
Were any of these people these type of excellent performer before?
Well, Tank is a rookie. Nico Collins was good. He had a good season last year. Let me pull up his stats from last year.
Because I feel like he's elevating these players to a high performance. Purdy is not elevating this player. He's just giving them the ball and telling, hey, do your thing, McCaffrey. Do your thing, Kittles. I feel like he is, that game.
You're basically saying Stroud is a better player than Brock Purdy. That's what you're.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Listen,
he has a better arm. He's throwing darts out there. Purdy is doing this whole,
I watched the game. I am impressed. I've been impressed with Purdy too the first few weeks, right, that he played. Guess what? I'm not making any declarations that either of them, are going to be superstars in this league. It's a tough league, right? One week you can look good, next week you look like shit.
Listen,
you play a team a couple times, they figure you out, they know how to stop you.
This is CJ Stroud's first year. He's not going to repeat this the second year. Nobody does. Right. Unless you're, a superstar.
But that's my point. So why are we saying he's better than Purdy? I've seen enough to Purdy to make him think he's a good quarterback. Not great,
Purdy
but good.
might win the division. CJ Stroud might win the division. They're in second place. Anything can go, and he's going to win the division. I'm saying it right now. If he keeps going with this kind of winning percentage and elevating his teammates and doing all this, I'm telling you, CJ Stroud is capable of winning the AFC South because Trevor Lawrence does not have it this year. He just doesn't.
Well, I don't know about that. I think Jacksonville's still too good. And yeah, I like the coaching staff. I like the coaching staff for Jacksonville too. So I think they'll end up falling short. And I think teams, again, they'll have enough tape now to say, okay, we see what they do, and they can figure out, what Houston's doing, and put a better plan out there to stop them.
Yeah, look at this. Leading rusher for them right now. This is the leading rusher is Devin Singletary.
Yeah, it's been terrible.
Devin Singletary is a cast off. He was when Buffalo, and Buffalo got rid of him.
So Dameon Pierce, I think, had 1,000 yards last year, if I'm not mistaken.
In college?
No, he played for them last year. He was a great rookie for them last year. He has been a disappointment for sure this year. I don't know what's going on there.
Are you saying that who has been a disappointment?
Dameon Pierce
has
been a disappointment, but it's not that he's lacking talent, because we've seen him, like I said, last year.
Isaiah McKenzie. Have you heard of Isaiah McKenzie?
Yeah. I think he played for Buffalo.
Because he's leading them in yards this season. So I'm just saying that
Dameon Pierce, 939 yards rushing as a rookie last year, off of 220 carries, 4 touchdowns. Also had 30 receptions last year as a rookie. So the expectation was that he'd go in and rush for over 1,000, be the lead running back, and that hasn't happened. Why, I don't know. Maybe he's hurt. He's been playing hurt all season, but he's a good player. But the other running backs, I've heard of them. They've been in the NFL for a few years now. Are they great? No, but they're good. They're serviceable.
That's what I mean, is that he's making these wide receivers. I don't know about the running back, because obviously that's not something that he can actually.
If you were to ask me which receiving group I would choose, I'm taking Houston. I am.
Out of what, like that
between
division?
San Francisco and Houston.
Why?
Because I like Houston's receivers
over Debo Samuels.
That's
over,
one player.
Over what's the other name? The other receiver of San Francisco.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
Because he's playing well right now.
Yeah, but so is Tank Dell. Tank is a rookie.
Let me see the San Francisco stats, because compared to Houston stats, there are, the highest Nico Collins at 633 yards.
Yeah, he's good. And then Tank Dell, he's missed a game. Is playing well. They have Xavier Hutchinson, a guy that I love coming out, I think, of Iowa or Iowa State. I was hoping the Steelers drafted. John Mechie, remember the first round pick from 2 years ago? He got cancer. Now he's coming back and playing.
But
he's
that's
probably
what I
better
mean.
than
These are people that they're not regular superstar that you think, oh, they stock up. No, look, Brandon Ayuk, 675 yards. Obviously,
he's good.
He is good. That's what I'm saying. Kerry Kittles, 559 yards. Christian McCaffrey, 300.
Oh, I'm not saying running back. I'm not saying the running back.
But I'm saying receiving.
Yeah.
I'm saying receiving, 339. I'm telling you, San Francisco has the weapons.
Oh, absolutely. But I would still think if Purdy had Houston's receivers, they'd put up the same exact statistic.
No, I don't think so. And I love Purdy. Very level-headed, knows what he's doing, but he doesn't have the arm. He doesn't have the height. The physical abilities.
Talk to me when we get to like mid-season next year about how good CJ Stroud is. It's just too early. Same thing with like Will Levis. Same thing with a lot of quarterbacks. Like, it's just too early to make any proclamations about how good they are. I don't give a damn if they throw. If he goes out next week and throws for 800 yards, it doesn't tell me anything.
Week to week league.
Yes, and you got to be able to play a team.
If he's winning every week,
play a team more than once, and let me see the second time. Let me see the second time how good you are.
Yes. What do you want? Want a Super Bowl ring? No,
I'm not saying that.
He's winning. That's all that matters.
Like 25 games, 30 games.
Listen, he's winning. That's all that matters.
To win and continue to put up numbers.
He is winning. That's all that matters.
Okay.
He's winning. That's all that matters.
That's what Tomlin said about Kenny. Right? Kenny's winning. That's all that matters.
Listen, I don't care. You were ready to get rid of Kenny.
I'm not.
And all of a sudden you like him.
Don't ever say I was willing to get rid of Kenny. That's not the truth. Those are lies. Those are lies.
He should be in my top 20 because the coach said so.
Come on, man.
No.
We did our rankings. I put Kenny Pickett at like 22 or somewhere like that.
Below your top 20.
He hasn't played well, period. And I told you beginning of the season, I thought he was a top 15, but he hasn't lived up to that expectation. So I'm disappointed. It doesn't mean I'm getting rid of him. No, absolutely not. But I want to see more from him because it has been 20 games for him, that he started at this point. So my expectations for him are a little bit higher.
I still think that Kenny has been hindered by Matt Canada.
Absolutely.
And but the difference between Pickett and Mac Jones is that Pickett is actually listening to Matt Canada. Mac Jones is doing his own thing. He's throwing it when he feels like it. He's avoiding the sacks when he feels like it. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Let Mac go to another team and see how well he performs, right? I mentioned that 2 teams. Atlanta would be a decent fit. What was the other team I mentioned?
The Rams?
McVay with Mac Jones? You don't think he'd succeed there?
No, he doesn't have the Stafford Jerry Goff arm. Let me tell you something. He works well in the middle of the field. McVay likes somebody that can either work the middle of the field and go deep at the same time. I just don't feel like Mac Jones can do that.
Okay. Well, I disagree. I just think he's in the wrong team, wrong scheme.
Yeah, he's definitely in the wrong team. Let's go into week 11 predictions. And as I mentioned earlier, Pats on a bye week. Pittsburgh at Cleveland. And this line actually changed. It was Browns were favored by 3.5. Then the Watson injury happened. Now Pittsburgh is favored by 1. Ron.
And that line was even more. I think it was as high as like 4.5.
Oh, wow.
At one point.
So Ron, what's your pick on this game?
Steelers winning 23-13. So, and I worry a little bit about this score because again, offensively, we're not doing enough. Cleveland still has a really good defense, so I don't know if we can get to 23 points. And then even if we get a good lead, Steelers are not going to try to push it. So I'm a little bit worried about that. But Cleveland, if you would have told me PJ Walker was playing, maybe I'd say, okay, they still got a legitimate chance. But you're throwing a rookie out there, that hasn't played since I don't know when, right? I don't know if he played during the regular season here. I know he looked great in preseason, but that's preseason. A rookie against TJ and, our defense. Steelers have no business losing the game. They should win 23, 13. 10 points or more.
I actually have Cleveland winning 14-10. I had it originally 24-10, but I don't think Cleveland scores 24 points.
You think Cleveland without Watson?
Because I believe in the defense. I believe that the defense
is a better team than the Steelers.
I saw Pickett in action. He's not exactly line up the
I've been telling you this for the whole season.
But I'm just saying that all you need is a turnover here and there, and make it easier for the rookie.
Has not done.
You're setting up for Pickett, are you? That's what I mean. Is like he's not a Mac Jones turnover machine. Yeah. However, this defense is probably elite. It's probably like top 3, maybe.
Okay.
So I believe that at home, Cleveland has the advantage, not by much. I got them winning by 4 points, but I do believe that the Browns pull it out.
Okay.
Who is your upset special?
Yeah, tough week here to figure out. I was going to go with your same upset special, but I went Bills, Jets. Bills favored by 7. Just fired your coordinator. Find that interesting. And Jets have no offense whatsoever, but their defense is still good. So they forced Josh Allen to do 2 stupid mistakes.
4, I think 4.
Yeah.
4 mistakes.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if they can cause like 2 turnovers from the Bills, they'll have a chance to win the game. So I got Jets winning 14-13.
I got Tennessee at Jacksonville. Jacksonville's favored by 6.5. I don't think that they can win this game, even though going into Jacksonville is a tough place to win. But I just feel like Tennessee can play them tough. Trevor Lawrence, I'm not saying that they can lose that division because I like Houston, but do you think he's not the same, or there's an injury, or because he's not as sharp as he usually is? Like Trevor Lawrence should be like going forward, not backward. So what's going on with Jacksonville?
You go as far as your coach and coordinator lead. So listen, like some coaches and coordinators, they want to have a tight leash to say, we'll allow you to do this and only that. I don't care if you can throw 50 miles, downfield. We're not going to make those throws. So I think that's part of it. They just want to make sure with Lawrence that they're cautious to limit his mistakes. And they're holding him back to a certain extent in an effort to try to win.
Because I do like their running back a lot. I think he's probably the best player, better than Trevor Lawrence right now. But really should be like up there, like just racking up the yards, and he's not for whatever reason. I don't know. I like Peterson. Obviously, he beat the Pats in the Super Bowl. I don't know what's going on with Trevor Lawrence. That's why I got them. I got Tennessee winning that game. Okay, Ron, I asked you to do this last second, but I know that we had a very vivid discussion last week. So this week, let's talk about the head coaches and the top 10. Who do you have as your top 10?
Reed, number 1, Shanahan 2, Tomlin 3, Carroll 4, Campbell 5, Peterson 6, Sirianni 7, O'Connell, which I know is probably a shock. I have him at 8, Mike McDaniels at 9, Taylor at 10.
Yeah, basically have the same guy except O'Connell and McDaniels, because you don't think McVay should be a top 10 coach?
I think you need to be able to win games even when your star players are hurt or go down. So
because he did win a Super Bowl.
yeah, I get that. I know, but it doesn't mean to me that you're the top guy. I'm trying to see, where do I leave McVay out? I thought I had him in, but I may have left them out for some reason. Trying to figure out where he would have been, but he probably would not have been in my top 10 either way. I think so. There's there's different coaching styles, right? There's the coaches like McDaniel, perfect example. Offensive mind, hands-on, all over the offense. Does nothing with the defense. He trusts his coordinator to make all the decisions. He trusts his players. The players love him. That's the type of coach I think in this day and age in football you need to lead, in the NFL, because you're not talking to, like, these players today are not like the players like from about 20, 30 years ago. So I think Mike McDaniel is going to be a great coach. I think he is a good coach. I think he's a good leader. He's just not gonna, on the defensive side, give you anything, because he trusts the guys around him to do that, and that's a good thing.
I think McDaniel, he's a good coordinator. He's a good offensive mind. Maybe a step above Josh McDaniel as far as offensive genius. I know they throw that word around a lot, but I have him much lower, as so does O'Connell. And
let me talk about O'Connell, because I saw some rankings out there, him being like in the 20s for coaches. That dude is like an offensive genius. And I don't know, maybe it's the hype when I watched that, what was it, Netflix or HBO special on the quarterback, the Peyton Manning special that he did with Kirk Cousins and Mahomes. But O'Connell is a very good coach. Great relationship with his players. Very knowledgeable when it comes to the offense. I think I think what he's done with the Vikings has been great. So I think he's a really good coach, and underrated.
I have him at 25. I until he actually wins something, not the Super Bowl, because that'd be too much to ask, but let me see him win in the playoffs a couple of games. McDaniels hasn't even been in the playoffs, so I'm gonna rank the coaches that I know can win in the playoffs ahead of the other coaches. So I wasn't ready to put my McConnell at my top 10. Ron, who are your 11 through 15?
All right, so I will put. I got Vrabel here at number 11. I got D'Amico Ryans at 12. I'll put McVay here at 13, even though he's not on this list. And I'll finish off with like Harbaugh and Payton as my 11th.
I have Vrabel. I have Belichick at 12. I have McDaniels. I have McDermott, and I have Matt LaFleur. Now, Belichick could have been in my top 10, but given the fact that the last 4 years they only made the playoff once, was it Tom Brady the whole time? I can't say that.
And that goes back to what I was saying about different coaching styles. As far as knowledge of the game, no one on this list is smarter, I think, than Bill Belichick. He comes up with the right game plans every single game in and game out. It's just the players don't execute. So in terms of like game knowledge, I think he's, definitely in the top 10, definitely in the top 5. But, you have to be able to lead players too. And I think that's where he falls short, because people are looking at him and saying, I don't know, not that they don't respect him, but they're just like, they're just not buying in,
I just think that, you have that you have a lot more offensive-minded coaches than defensive-minded coaches. I think back in the day, 20, 15 years ago, you can ask a defensive coordinator to be a head coach and have them score 15 points and win the game, and you're like, yeah, that's what we got them. But I feel like times are changing, and obviously, if you don't have an offensive-minded coach, give him like Mac Jones. Give him Mac Jones to develop. He's not going to develop the guy. He's going to be focused, hyper-focused on his defense, whatever his defense was. And I think that back in the Tom Brady days, he didn't need to be hyper-focused because Tom Brady delivered when it was asked. And I think now with that Tom Brady, I think, listen, lightning doesn't strike twice. You're not going to get another Tom Brady. That's why he fell so hard on the list. Easily a top 10, like you said, he football-minded coach. He knows the ins and outs, but he's just not cutting it. And he might go down the list if we do this again next year.
Yeah, I got him lower.
What's your 15 through 20?
So I got Bowles, and then I got Belichick. So that's where Belichick lands for me. And then LaFleur, Robert Saleh, and then Frank Wright.
I have McCarthy, Mike McCarthy, because, he's a Super Bowl winner, so I guess I got to throw him in there. And I got the D'Amico Ryans at 17. I got Payton at 18. I got Dable at 19. And I got 20, Frank Wright. And Dable, maybe on second time, maybe this is a little high, but the fact that he's a quarterback whisperer, right? He made Josh Allen play better. He made Daniel Jones play better. I don't know what's going on right now. I don't know why he can't make Tommy DeVito play better. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's the fact that it came out that he's still at home. His mom still cooks him for him. I don't know what's going on. I just know that eventually he'll figure it out, the offense and what works.
Yeah, I don't like where you have McCarthy. I think that's like too high. I think he's overrated. Another guy that had the benefit of having a, Hall of Fame quarterback around him. And I think now you see him struggling. You're like, okay, this is what you're really getting.
Well, I don't think Dallas is not really struggling, though. They just put out 500 yards. It was the Giants.
They're not consistent.
Yes, they're not consistent, but they beat the teams who they're supposed to beat. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, let's take all that out of the picture. Is McCarthy to you below your 20?
Yes. Yeah, so he is. And I mentioned the first one, 15 was Bowles for me. So, or 16 was Bowles for me. I don't think Bowles gets enough credit of being a good head coach. So, I don't have McCarthy. I think I have him at 20. What would this be?
21.
Yeah, 21.
So the next two sections, I believe that we're going to get into like the nitty-gritty, like why are these people still coaching? Who is your 21 to 25?
Yeah, so I'll just go through the rest of the list. These are my bottom tier. So I got Gannon, I mentioned McCarthy, Deitchen. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Allen, McDermott. I think McDermott is like super overrated in Buffalo. Smith, Dable, Stefanski, Eberflus, Staley, Rivera, and then Pierce. I guess Staley twice. That's probably where McVay goes. That's why he's not there. But that rounds out like my bottom of the league in terms of coaches.
Yeah, I agree with all those picks. Not the McCarthy one, but I have Stefanski, Allen, Bowles, because I feel like, again, Bowles benefits from the whole thing of like, if you're a defensive-minded coach, kind of like Saleh, where I have him, as 25. I just feel like if you're a defensive coach and, in Tampa's situation and the Jets situation, they have great defense, but then you let somebody else run the offense. I just feel like that's a recipe for disaster. And when they had Tom Brady last Tampa Bay and they won the Super Bowl, Todd Bowles was the defensive coordinator. He got a promotion. So it's like, why aren't you repeating that again if you're not really changing teams? You're not really changing because you don't have Tom Brady anymore. That's basically it. So yeah, I have them dropping, and then I have Smith, Staley, Rivera, Eberflus, Gannon, which Gannon you have a 21, but Steichen, and then I have Antonio Pierce.
Yeah, I mean, it's still bottom of the league.
Still,
regardless.
I mean, Gannon, is he a stopgap? Is he a stopgap? Like, is he there just like warming up the seat for somebody else?
I don't know. You know,
Because I feel like you have Kyler Murray. You should be at least competing. I know he was hurt this year, but you should be competing. You have a decent offensive play. You have a decent defense. Why aren't you competing?
yeah, I don't know. I think there was a lot of hype around him when he first got in the league. He threw up some unbelievable statistics with Murray, but again, teams figure you out after the first time seeing you. So what do you do? Season 2. That's when I think the real you starts to show. So I think teams have figured him out a little bit. I think he is going to be on the hot seat. I think the Cardinals, they can just do a full reset, quarterback included, and start all over, start from scratch with that team.
So all 26 through 32, are we in agreement that all these coaches are going to get fired at the end of the year?
Most of them, yes. Yeah. So Pierce, right? So he's an interim coach. Maybe I don't know. We'll see how he finishes. See if he retains that position. Rivera, I think he's on his way out. Yeah, I think we got the same group of guys for the most part.
Well, you have Dable as 27. Yeah. I think he keeps his job.
He comes back?
Yeah,
I think he's done.
Yeah, I think that because Daniel Jones was hurt, he has an out. He has an out. Stefanski, you think he doesn't come back?
What's their record?
I think they're in third place.
No, he's not gonna. Well, maybe he does. He'll make it back.
I mean, 6-3 is a pretty good record.
Yeah, and then he has a lot of injuries too. So
why don't you like Stefanski? Why is he so low?
I think they draft well. They've put together a good team. They have a great defensive-minded coach. But offensively, the last 2-3 years, I'm not overly impressed. Yeah, they have a good running game, but if they haven't gotten what they wanted out of Watson, right? And then the guys around them, they've been okay. Like, nothing that I see offensively is like eye popping. So I don't know if it's necessarily him, or just again, just the culture in Cleveland. But I have him in my bottom. Maybe it's probably a little bit too low. He should be higher considering where they're at and all the injuries they have, or some of the injuries they've had. But yeah, I'm not overly impressed.
I mean, Antonio Pierce, yes, you should probably give him a chance because it's an interim coach. Maybe at the end of the year he'll get a new title as head coach. But I told you in the chat the other night, this dude ruined the perfect season. Him and his Giants teammates. So yeah, saying that I don't care much for whether he succeed or not. It's a vendetta that I have against him. So yeah, listen, are there any coaches here that you say, wow, I wish that guy was on my team instead of Tomlin? Or would you keep Tomlin?
Oh, absolutely. I would keep Tomlin. Some of these guys at the bottom, like Daboll was a good coordinator. You know, he was a decent coordinator. I don't want him as my head coach. But no, none of these guys. I'm not taking any of the coaches in the league, you know, as a coach over time. Maybe Andy Reid is like right there on the bubble, but probably I'm not taking anyone over Mike Tomlin.
There's no coach here that I would drool over and I'll be like, yeah, he would be a great replacement for Bill Belichick, because whoever succeeds him, you're not gonna 9 Super Bowls, 6 of them winners. It's like you're basically stepping into someone else's shoes.
Guys who get fired as coaches, as head coaches, don't go back as head coaches for other teams. It's the guys who are coordinators for up and coming teams that become coaches for those teams that are looking for coaching jobs. So those guys that are at the bottom of the list, they're not going to find a head coaching job, I think, right away necessarily. Ron Rivera, I think, was probably like one of the exceptions, you know, just bounced around. I think there's name recognition or whatever. But
Ron Rivera didn't do it alone, because his defense coordinator is the Jacksonville coach, Jack Del Rio. Mm-hmm. So it's not like he's doing it by himself, but like you mentioned, I can think of countless coaches had success with the original team, went to another team, and they were just miserable.
Yeah.
You know,
are you trying to figure out who your coach is for next season?
No, I'm just saying, if Belichick decides to go to another team, he's not going to be successful, because he has to start from, it's not going to be his people there.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be like new people that he doesn't know about, new location. You know, I just feel like he's too old to start over. It's either Patriots or nothing. Even if he gets traded, why, he's on the contract for 1 more year?
He just wants the record, though, right?
Yeah, he just wants the record. He doesn't, I mean...
He'll go somewhere he can get whatever. How many wins is he away now, anyways?
I think he's down to 15.
Still a lot.
It's like in the low teens, but... I mean, I just don't think...
potentially 2 seasons.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's 2 seasons. Is Robert Kraft going to keep put up with 2 seasons of fans degrading him? Journalists degrade him. Every time he's on the news, they're like, yeah, the Patriots stink. But Celtics are doing fine. Bruins are doing fine. So he has a lot of competition. Mm-hmm. And Red Sox in the summer. So it's not like there's a compare, right? There's not a comparison. So this is a tough time to be a New England Patriots owner.
Yeah.
And I remember going back then when the... not the owner before Robert Kraft, what's his name? I can't remember his name now, but he used to do the shaving. It's like he was under pressure and he finally just gave in. He's like, I'm just going to sell the team to someone else because I can't handle. I don't think that's going to happen, because Robert Kraft is grooming his son to take over, but I just don't know, like, is this going to be a legacy? I don't know how much he has to live, right?
Well, I mean, the legacy is a success, though, at the end of it, right? You might not have finished the way you wanted, but all those Super Bowls you wanted, legacy.
It's your legacy, right? Because it never, listen, if things ended well, they would never end.
Yeah.
So this is not different. This is just the way it is. All right. So next week we'll have week 12. We have the recap. We'll have NFL news. We'll know whether or not, because I think if the Cleveland wins, they jump, right? They jump, you guys?
Yeah, they would jump us.
Because you go 6-4, and they would.
Yeah, I think this is our first game against them this season. So
no, I think you won the first game.
We beat Baltimore. I don't think have we played Cleveland already?
I think you played Cleveland at the beginning of the year. Let's see. Yeah.
Yeah, we won 26-22. So maybe they don't. Well, they'll still have a better record than us. So
it's the same record, 6-3.
Yeah, right now we're both 6-3.
Yeah. So next week we'll know whether or not the Steelers remain in second place, because this week's game on Thursday, Bengals versus Baltimore. This is the all-time like Bengals are going to lose this game, right?
I don't know.
You're not sure about this game?
I think the Ravens are better, but I'm hoping the Bengals win. I guess I can hope either way, because you either want Ravens to run away with it and beat up on the other AFC North teams, or for there to be so much confusion, that Steelers can propel their way up into first place and actually win the division. So it's going to be a good game Thursday at the end of the day. I think it can go either way. I think Bengals are on the rise. Yeah, they just lost last week. So did the Ravens. So,
I mean, the Bengals are 0-2 in the division. The Baltimore Ravens are 2-2. Pittsburgh is 2-0 in the division. So if Ravens lose and you guys win, you guys take over first place.
Yeah, because we beat them too.
Because you beat them. So
we'll be 3-0 in the division.
It's just that, man, every time I look at the standings, I look at -26 to the team. I don't know how they do it. How are they doing this? How are they doing this? I don't understand.
Just win, baby.
But yeah, I expect Baltimore to blow out Cincinnati. No T. Higgins. Short week for both teams.
It's not going to be a blow. It's divisional games. It's not.
And Baltimore they're like scratching their head. Like, how did we lose this game against the Browns? They're so angry at themselves. I just feel like they're going to take it out on the Bengals. All right. So in that case, I say peace.
Peace.
Hey guys, thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If any questions or comments, feel free to hit us up on shutyourmouthpodcast@gmail.com. That's shutympodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit us on Twitter or on Instagram @SYM Podcast. Thanks again.